This is the websites.ca podcast, where we help Canadian small businesses build and maintain an effective website and online presence.
Hey everybody, Sean Corbett here, websites.ca marketing. I'm going to be doing the podcast today on my own. Ryan is away on holidays. We're going to keep this one short and sweet. It's all about how to write killer emails and also kind of applies to social media posts as well. So why should you listen to me when it comes to writing emails? Well, I work with a handful of clients across the US and Canada, running their email campaigns, running their email marketing, keeping their lists clean, all that kind of fun stuff. I've been responsible for over $2 million of capital raising for some real estate clients. I've also been involved with startups and launches that have made thousands of dollars over the course of a weekend or a week, something like that. So lots of different experience with lots of different size companies, and this stuff generally applies across the board. So might as well jump right in. The first concept I'd like to make you aware of is called the A pile, B pile concept. And this was basically pioneered by a guy called Gary Halbert, marketing genius. Essentially, he liked to say that people in America or people in North America sort their mail over a waste bin. And that applies to email as well. The concept there is essentially when an email is coming in or a regular physical letter is coming in, you're immediately trying to decide, do I even want to open this? Nope, trash. And most of the trash is unsolicited mail, business mail, flyers, things like that, right? So people will take in their personal mail, perhaps from their family members. They'll take in credit card bills usually, right? It's something that they know is important. They recognize the sender. It looks interesting, and it doesn't look like a solicitation. So the same principle applies to email. What you'd want to do, and there's many ways you can do this. I have my own tactics for how to do this best. You'll have to come up with that on your own. But the overall strategy is that you want to make sure your emails look personal. The emails have to look like they're coming from a friend, right? So one of the things I can tell you is just a super easy red flag. Go into your inbox at any given time. Quickly scan your inbox. Probably within 3 seconds, you can tell me which emails are from friends, loved ones, people you want to hear from, important business matters, and then what is trash, spam, whatever. The trash and spam and the junk that you generally don't even open, you just delete before you see it. You'll notice it always has the same type of subject line typically. There'll be a lot of caps, there'll be fancy stuff in there, right? Some people might try to be cute and use icons and all sorts of other crap. People will say last chance, final chance, big sale, sale, right? You have to remember when you're writing your own emails, you're not the only email going in someone's inbox. So look at your inbox. Imagine how you could write an email, how you could write a subject line that would stand out from all those other emails, or at the very least play into the A pile, B pile concept where you want your email to look like it's coming from a trusted, beloved source. So that's kind of a high level concept, but you really have to think of it like that when you're sending emails. Now, the second concept I wanted to get across to you is that your emails are going to get opened more as a result of the from line than the subject line. This was a concept taught to me by email master Ben Settle. And what he means by the from line is who the email is coming from. So again, when you look at your inbox, typically the first column tells you where the email is coming from or who it's coming from. It usually says a person's name or a company name. Then the next column shows you the subject line, and then finally it usually shows you a preview of the first sentence or so of the email. So the big thing here is if you collect your names on your list appropriately and people know who you are and they want to hear from you, you could almost write anything on the subject line and they're going to open the email because it's coming from Sean at websites.ca, right? So that's what I do with many of my clients is that we don't ever try to sneakily put somebody on the email list. What we do is we ask them for their permission to put them on the email list. We tell them why it's a great thing that they're going to be on the email list. We tell them what they're going to get for it, right? In some cases, you might have a bribe or a lead magnet or something to give to them just to give up that email. And then we want to make sure that from line is coming from somebody they recognize and like and want to hear from. And again, you'll imagine that's sort of conceptual. That's happening before you actually even write an email. So it's a state of mind. The third concept I wanted to get across to you is this totally incorrect idea, this myth that you can't email too much. Oh, I don't want to bug people. Oh, I don't want to spam people. Well, if you've taken care of the two things that I said before, if they know and like you and expect emails to come from you, you can actually email every day. You can email twice a day. Okay, most people don't have time for that, but it's super powerful. Now, again, we're not emailing something boring. We're not emailing something selfish that's just take, buy for me, buy for me, buy for me. If you do that, of course, people aren't going to want to hear from you. I mean, would your friends want to hear from you if every day you phone them, you were just asking them for favors? So you have to think of it from the point of view of if you're somebody people want to hear from, and again, think of it in your own life. Your best friend, family member, a loved one. You're very happy to hear from them frequently, but of course, it has to be something interesting, and you have to be invested in the conversation. So that kind of ties into the concept that you should always be making your emails fun, informative, entertaining, and generally make them worth reading. And here's a little extra side tip. It doesn't matter super short, super long. It really doesn't matter. Long actually tends to pull better on a sales basis. But if you're emailing frequently, I would just mix it up and don't worry about it, right? Take as long as you need to tell the story or to get across the concept, that kind of thing. And actually, I didn't write this down, but I should mention this right here. The most interesting thing about doing any kind of marketing or social media posts or emailing or campaigns or anything like that is a certain percentage of people are going to give you negative feedback. And frankly, I just throw away that negative feedback. It's totally useless, especially if it's not coming from a long-time buyer who's a repeat buyer, who's referred tons of great people, all that kind of stuff. Okay, if your super customers, your best customers, if they're coming to you with repeated similar complaints, yes, you might want to listen to that. But I've sent out emails that have been extremely long, and my client will get the feedback, from these people that were emailing, like, oh, this is way too long. I didn't want to read this. Why did you do this? I'm super upset. And meanwhile, that one person's complaining, who never buys, by the way, and then all these other people are buying. And all these other people tell us afterwards, oh, it was that long email that convinced me. Likewise, I've had people say, oh, you email too much, right? They bought off the first email, and they're sad that we emailed them 3, 4, 5 more times in a week. Well, they have no idea how many other people bought every other additional day that we emailed. And on that last day, we're emailing, and again, people are reaching out and saying, you know what? I wasn't going to pull the trigger. I wasn't into the previous messages, but this 5th, 6th, 7th, this last message you sent really convinced me. It really showed me that this is a good solution for me. So you got to be very selective in you taking feedback. And anytime you try something with your email marketing or with your social media posts, be prepared for people to come back to you and say they don't like it. Who cares? Continue on. Okay, so the final concept I wanted to get across is that you must always end your emails with a call to action. Now, for people who aren't familiar with that, it just means that you ask them to do something. Typically, the best call to action is to sell them something. Now, again, if you go back to the point I made earlier, the whole email isn't, this product is good, you need to buy it, my service is great, you need to hire me, ... No, you've told a story, you've written a fun email, you've caught up with people, you've maybe educated them, you told them about an event they might be interested in, you've given them a tip of some kind, and then just do a simple transition sentence at the end of your story, tip, your content, your narrative, whatever. Just one simple transition sentence, and then go into, and so, if that's something you're interested in, maybe you'll want to buy my book. Or if that's something that you need help with, maybe you'll want to hire us for this service. So it's all about giving them the opportunity to buy rather than, trying to pressure them with sales. But always give them the opportunity to do something or to buy something or to hire you at the end of the email. And it doesn't have to be anything more complicated than just saying it straight out. So the best thing to do, obviously, is to sell someone something. However, there's a lot of folks who don't always have things for sale, or perhaps you have a service that, it's like a once a year, twice a year type service, so you can't constantly sell it in every email, let's say. If you're in that camp, think of some other call to action that you could get your audience to do, that they just become accustomed to sort of following your instructions. So in that instance, you could use your website. You could put an article on your website. You could put something informative or interesting on your website. You could embed a video on your website. And if you're a websites.ca customer, of course, just come to us for help. We'll set it up on the page for you. But I would then end the email with something along the lines of, if you don't have anything to sell, you would say, and if you're interested to learn more about this topic, then click here, to read an article in more detail. Or, and related to what we just discussed in this email, you might find this other thing interesting. So really, you're just getting into the habit of structuring your emails where you're ending by asking them to do something. Even if it's not buying, put a link in there, get them to click on that link and go somewhere and do something. So that's it. I really recommend, especially if these concepts sound foreign to you, or even more so if these concepts sound too simplistic to you, I recommend that you listen to this a couple times, pick one or two of the concepts, and just see if you can apply it, give it a try in your email marketing or your social media posts, because these things basically apply to social media posts as well. Give it a try for a month or two and just see what happens.
If you're not satisfied with your current website or the service you get from your provider, you can switch to websites.ca for free and get a great support team behind you. Just visit business.websites.ca. That's BUSINESS.websites.ca, or email Ryan directly at ryan@websites.ca.
Thanks for listening, guys. Catch you next time.